Hello, people. This is the Seattle Overload podcast where we've read your feedback. Griff is not going to be tapping away at his keyboard tonight.
No
I saw your comments.
No, I do promise I won't be firing off DMs while I'm doing a live podcast with my buddy Matty F.
You're firing off DMs while you're on a call with me?
Yeah, it's called stimming, Matty.
Stimming.
I was stimming.
I don't know what the kids call it, but it is. Hold on. No. 3 of those big fat L's for the Seahawks, but I think, and I should probably be saying this when we're live, like in terms of we've done the intro, the preamble, but I think there's a lot of positivity which will be interlaced into the realism and the bad stuff.
Yeah. There's definitely a optimistic angle here that rooted in realism. Now, there's also a pessimistic angle rooted in realism, but we're going to explore both. And really, the pessimistic one is just like saying what happened in this game. But as far as projecting forward, like, is there a way to get better? Like, that's the operative question. Like, yeah, there is. There is. I don't know if they'll take that path if they're able to, right? But I think Mike is going to shoot for it. So,
do you have a preamble topic?
Preamble topic.
Oh gosh. A big pause.
Do you like boats? Are you a boat guy?
Like going on them?
Yeah. Of any size, caliber.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I love boats, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
you don't get seasick or like cabin fever.
A special person in my life wants to go and see whales, as in the animal, like go whale watching in the Arctic Circle.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. But I was kind of hoping that I'd be seeing whales while also being able to visit whiskey distilleries in Scotland. So we're having a bit of a negotiation here.
Well, you guys got whales all over the place, right?
Yeah, they're just being an island nation.
Right.
Yeah, they're just literally. If I look out my window, I can see whales.
Is Iceland a big like tourist thing for people in the UK? Like, is that a thing?
I think it's quite popular. Everyone wants to see the Northern Lights. They're all obsessed with it. Why? Is it a big thing in America?
Not like particularly. I mean, Iceland exists in the collective conscious, but we don't. It's not like. I mean, you wouldn't say, "Oh yeah, we're going up to Iceland this weekend," just because geographically, like, it would be like a big event. Like you're going to Europe and you check off Iceland, along the way. But I could imagine. If you're in the UK and you're like, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, yeah, we're going to go to Iceland.
You're going to pop over on the ferry?
Yeah.
You have to fly there. It's still quite far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be an hour flight, though?
Yeah, just a little,
A nice little hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, just get a glider over there, a hot air balloon.
Yeah. It's too bad that it's not about a 2.5 hour long flight because, Matty, you could then watch Children of Men. So what's going on there? Have you watched it yet?
No.
We have so much to discuss, and you're depriving us of
my expert film reviews.
Yeah,
which are detailed, thorough.
I agree.
Entertaining. Okay.
Anyway,
Monjombo, do I not attend the London Jags games? I once saw Colin Kaepernick do terrible things to a very bad Jags team.
I remember that game.
Yeah.
Why don't you try to go to more? I mean, I know you can't this year because of your.
It's expensive. I often need to work on a Sunday.
You could get a press pass though.
You'd think.
Yeah.
Apparently, when I was with Underdog, I was not.
That wasn't enough.
High enough up. I wasn't a priority for them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, when the Pete Carroll coached Jacksonville Jaguars make their annual London trip next year, you can relink with old Petey.
Yeah. There you go.
And then just like nail him. Just unload every question that we've got in the chamber. Don't let him get away.
Keep him in London.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hit it, Matty.
My hitting it is less and less effective. Welcome to part 1 of the Seattle Overload film review of Seahawks Week 6 Thursday Night Football, 36-24 loss to the San Francisco 49ers. Yep, because we have some extra days, we have some extra time, which gives us the opportunity to do a 2-part film review. We are truly overloading on the film, and this episode we're going to focus on the Seahawks defense. Long-time listeners of Seattle Overload will know, even short-time listeners will know, defense is our preference. We are defense-facing. And so the offense will come. I know there's so much to talk about with Geno Smith, but I think like the offense, the defense is full of some positive aspects to the play. I know Mike Macdonald has said in the media that if there was one simple fix, the Seahawks would do it, and that's certainly true, as in there isn't one simple fix. There's a lot of things which have gone wrong. There's a lot of different inconsistencies, and so with various kind of brackets or subjects, if you like, of the tape and different clips to illustrate our point, we'll try and explain where it's going wrong for the Seahawks, what went wrong against the 49ers, but also what they're good at and what you'd like to see them do a bit more often. And if they want to be the type of defense that Mike Macdonald's aiming for, what, you know, he has coached with the Baltimore Ravens and has been an elite unit in the league, it's what, you know, they'll have to get done. Griff, what was your lasting impression having watched the Seahawks defense?
The tape kind of confirmed my game day impressions that, and those impressions were, it was not good, but it wasn't as bad as as bad as I thought it could have been heading in. I think that there's absolutely a path for them to kind of reclaim what they were previously good at, and then kind of narrow the conversation back down to what are the things that they're bad at, instead of like, why are they also bad at these other things that they weren't bad at before, type of thing. I was impressed by like the second and long and then the third down stuff from Macdonald. That was pretty cool. And it kind of goes into what we talked about post game. You can't access that stuff. You can't access second and long if it isn't second and long, right? So how do you get them there? So you got to improve your early down defense, and a huge percentage of that, not all of it, but a huge percentage of it is run defense, right? I don't know what Macdonald's going to be able to do against play action. That's obviously the other early down thing. They might just have to live with it. There are, you know, theoretical stuff you can do, but is that necessarily what he wants to do? Is he going to try to coach the players through it? I don't know. I don't know if you can do that. So that kind of, again, that points us toward like, we're going to trade for somebody, but that's just at this point kind of baseless, not entirely baseless, but mostly baseless speculation. So, but all in all, like it doesn't have to be as bad as it was the last 3 weeks here on out. It might still not be as what we want it to be, what we hoped it could have been preseason, year long, but like they might get up to like a firmly average defense where it's clear, like, all right, these are the remaining weaknesses. Let the rostering take care of it, and then we'll go from there. Well, what did you think?
Yeah, similar vein, which obviously is a bit boring when we agree, but you know, their D-line still capable of doing like incredible stuff, like making plays which they don't bail your scheme out, but you know, a guy beats a block and it gets you the negative play where perhaps, you know, schematically on the whiteboard, the offense would have felt a bit better about that play. The D-line across the board still capable of that. Having Boye Mafe back was impactful, obviously, and you know, just a bit more of like Byron Murphy coming back and just helping out Jonathan Hankins, who had an up and down game. He made some great plays. He got reach blocked a few times, which we hadn't seen, and 3 games in 10 days will do that to especially an older vet player. You know, having Murphy back as like a nose tackle rotation on the interior, along with what Leonard Williams is able to do. Yeah, this D-line is pretty special, I'd say. which is obviously when you got a kind of pretty special D line, you can do pretty special things. And I felt the linebackers are. I think some of it's the positional coaching, and maybe how some things have been installed, and then some of it's their inconsistency. However, they are improving in some areas, and then in the secondary, like particularly in this game, if they'd just been a bit more healthy there, I think they could have played a bit more man coverage. They were showing it from depth and spinning down into it, which I think was not confusing Purdy, but it was hurting what the 49ers were trying to do. And once Trey Brown got hurt, and he was having an up and down game at that point too, but once he got hurt and you had a rookie Nehemiah Pritchett in, once Artie Burns got hurt, they were less confident playing man. That's not to say they didn't. In fact, Pritchett had that good play on the crosser across the middle of the field, but I felt Macdonald would probably have leaned into it a bit more, if he had a bit more confidence and a bit more experience and current ability at corner, and he did not. So what I'm saying is it could be a lot worse, and I feel there's some stuff on the team which might be a fatal flaw, or it might kill them against these types of teams like the 49ers, who played pretty well, but I'm certainly not as miserable about the defense as I was immediately after the game.
Right.
Now, I think a good way of transitioning into the tape is the Seahawks only gave up 7 explosive plays. That being a pass of 16 yards or more, a run of 12 yards or more. And that is a high number. That's obviously not great. But at the same time, it's not catastrophic. And I think it's indicative of the fact that the Seahawks weren't really giving up massive chunks all the time. And they did occasionally. And that obviously those plays really hurt. But they played up and down defensive football. There's that word or that term again. But they also kind of gave up little gains that prevented them getting the 49ers in the third downs where Macdonald can cook, and he does cook. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about the 7 explosive plays? Because obviously it's still too high, Griff, but it's not indicative, I'd say, of giving up, what did they give up? 38 points? It's right there. 36 points.
Right. I mean, it added up to 9.1 yards per attempt, which I think would be the second lowest Brock Purdy yards per attempt against the Seahawks. No, it's not true. I'm fact checking that right now. It'd be about being average. Well, EPA wise though, I mean, it wasn't as horrendous as it's been. Again, it was still not good. But I agree that it wasn't just 15-yarder after 15-yarder after 15-yarder. Even the big explosive to Debo was, and we'll talk about it, was not a good defensive play, but it was kind of a fluky play as explosives go. I mean, you can say that about a lot of explosives, right? But if it starts happening a lot, then there's just a trend. It's no longer a fluke. But just the way that one played out, it was kind of a wonky one. For me, my mindset from that game is it's just another reminder of, they can't really defend in breaking stuff over the middle. That's really where my mind is at. Whether play action or drop back game, they just kind of suck at it. They don't have the players for it.
Okay. So should we go there first then? Just because that's the hot topic, and we kind of have cautioned the good performance against it in terms of it not being hit was actually just because it wasn't being hit, but it was still a problem. And now we've seen the 49ers do it. Obviously, it's all blending into one. The Lions, of course, they did it a fair bit. Yeah. Do you want to go there first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let me just promise, chat, I'm organized, and also I'm not ignoring your questions. Sometimes we'll try and answer them directly, but I think it's also good just to give me and us, Griff and I, an idea of what you guys are thinking about, what you want to see, and we'll try and touch. If we don't answer the question directly, we'll try and touch on that topic. And if you feel like we've done a crap job by the end of the podcast, at see Mike Spin Move on Twitter and let them know.
But definitely don't at Matty F Brown. Please let him rest.
Right. He's very busy.
You like the last thing you want to do is tag Matty F Brown about watching Children of Men. Like you don't want to see that.
All right, so this is the most egregious type of. Let me just get rid of this. I'm just sorting myself out here. All right, wait until you see this, guys. And also, what's crazy is watching this back. We sort of watched the All-22 at a slightly different angle live, didn't we? But watching this back, when you can rewind and forward wind it, again, I said it in the post-game press conference, but these players, the speed they have to recognize and identify things is incredible. It's also why the best guys are just so keyed in. Like, they're even on an even different level. Right, so 2nd and 7, which is prime. Like, hey, a play action call might pop here. It flicked to 1st and 10. Maybe it was 1st and 10. But anyway, had they just run for the ball? They'd just run the ball for 1st down. So again, prime, you'd think play action might pop. So we'll play it through. I'll stop doing the fast forward winding, quick forward winding stuff, because I know that can be quite annoying.
Yeah.
So you can see, you agree that can be quite annoying? That's a bit rude.
No. I was trying to be supportive. Yeah, so this play, what is it? It's drift. It's a dig route behind, or it's a dig route over the linebackers off of play action, right? From a tight split usually is when you see in the league right now. And you're attacking the hook defenders, and you've got 3 windows because there are 2 hook defenders creating 3 windows, and you can hit it at any point. And I think they kind of hit it in the second one because Dodson gets sucked in as the weak hook. And then Love identifies play action here relatively quickly, but he misdiagnoses the concept. He thinks there's kind of like a flood action going to the field from the boundary. So he's expecting the weak number 1 at the bottom of the screen to run like a deep over, which I don't blame him for trying to protect that, because that's what you see a lot. But
right, like this is the tight end as well, so he's thinking he's the weak hook, so he's trying to find the crosser from this side of the formation, right?
But he just guesses wrong, essentially. You see him running the other way looking for something. So I mean, the hooks give basically zero underneath help from Trey for Trey Brown. And Macdonald talks about on those in breakers how you want to vice it. You want dual leverage or compression leverage on those routes. So the corners give essentially outside and on top leverage, and the linebackers give you underneath inside leverage. And they don't do their part here, and including Love. So the hook players in this case, because it's strong rotation, cover 3 buzz. Love would be one of the hook defenders. So it's those 2 guys, and they just get beat.
And we've seen the 49ers execute this before. It's very difficult because of how quick it hits. Also, the QB turning and giving you as a run defender, because these guys are involved in the run.
Yeah.
Full flow directly downhill at you, and then pivot and set up and immediately throw it to this space here. That's a tough task. The better teams execute this, and the whole purpose of Macdonald telling Love to play like this from this depth is really to stick him in this window.
Right.
Where Ayuk often with the 49ers is that X guy, so he's on the ball, he's away from the Y tight end.
Mm-hmm. So bang bang.
So that's a disappointing one. Now, this is Dodson's worst play, I think. I actually felt he was up and down. I thought he was improved, Griff. I don't. Did you see that, or am
So
I just tripping?
so you've got kind of like your nothing plays and your bad plays. He kind of replaced his nothing plays with good plays. There were still
Okay.
bad plays, but he did some good stuff as well.
Yeah. So
But
let's. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Well, let's get to some of the good stuff. Now, this is a 3rd and 16, so you would hope that it would be good because you know it's pass. And I think his real issue comes when he's given that very under center run pass conflict look, the play action look. But nonetheless,
When the offensive possibilities are balanced, that's when he struggles.
yeah.
When he
And
can
chat, we're gonna
box
go
you.
deep tonight. Like we went. I mean, Griff's yawning, but I might go for 3 hours because there's a lot of stuff here with the defense. Honestly, this game, Griff, we've been saying for ages how. Well, I had, and I know you'd been looking forward to it too. But there's so much anticipation to see this defense tested by a quality opponent, and the Detroit game I felt was just a complete pasting. Like they just weren't
Yeah,
ready. They just got absolutely blown apart.
yeah,
This game, despite giving up 36 points, there were plays where they executed better. And don't forget, they are put in some really poor field position from the offense. And so I
right.
felt this was more of a. At least the Seahawks defense was swinging a bit. And so we got to see a bit of McDonald executing and a bit of. A bit of McDonald's players executing, a bit of McDonald's plan actually working. So here, this is actually going to be cover 3, guys. So we're going to have Witherspoon out into the curl flat, Trey Brown in the deep third. This is the play he got hurt on. They're playing weak sky rotation, so we're going to spin this guy down into the flat to the weak side or the tight end side, which I think is intentional. We're going to play this guy in the post, and crucially, actually, no, I've got this wrong. We're going to play this strong buzz again, so the same coverage we've just seen. Flat, and Dodson is the weak hook. I don't know if Griff's seen this play.
Why is that?
Well, because I thought you'd have posted on the timeline about it.
I mean, I didn't post as much as I normally do for games,
Okay. Do you know what he does here?
but I don't, not offhand, I don't remember.
It's a robot, Griff.
Oh yeah, well, why don't I remember this like at all?
Tyrel Dodson robot.
Tyrel Dodson, robot baby. I did post his. I did post his seam carry on Dodson on Kittle.
Yeah, that was nice as well, right?
All right, yeah. So we got. Is it like what is this? All go special?
I don't know.
No,
It's
no,
like
no, 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 no.
chip. It's like shallow.
Yeah, it's why shallow with an over. Oh, it's dagger.
Yeah, shallow
Dagger.
dagger. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty good from Dodson. He's got a final 3. Good for him.
It's very lackadaisical, and if this guy was actually running down the pipe, it would be a problem. And Julian Love does well to get a reroute here, even though that's, I mean, not to be a defense police, but that is technically illegal. Like you can't reroute at that depth.
I mean, maybe Love pushes with Purdy moving, but I almost wonder if, I mean,
Yeah,
if Purdy can keep his platform, that dig is coming open.
right. You would like Love to hold in this window more with the awareness that this guy's cleared for his weak hook.
Right. Or at least stay square so that you can melt back
Yeah,
to inside
because
the logo.
it's interesting he feels compelled to open his hip like that.
I think it's just purely because of Purdy moving. Okay,
Yeah.
he does square up. That's good. But then, yeah, I think it's just because the structure breaks.
Yeah.
But I don't think Love is like has a super great feel for playing a hook.
Well, he's probably not. in terms of like reps, he's probably done the least of that out of any coverage.
That's a good point. He did a little bit of it in New York, but he's probably just out of practice.
And this is why, guys, people don't like playing disguise, because you are starting at your depth that you're meant to get to, right? If you're thinking a hook is 10 to 12 yards, but Love comes down here and then has to end up backing back up because he's trying to, I don't know, I guess he's playing the run a bit, but he's ends up on his heels. And he never gets back to 10 yards.
Something that like Jamal and like Ryan Neal was really good at was playing that hook from depth.
Right.
It's a valuable skill, but hopefully we see Love get better at it.
Yeah, and like I said, the D-line is pretty special, and you can see here how Maffei and Hall and Williams cause problems, but particularly Maffei actually on that play.
Yeah, it was good to have Maffei back.
Yeah. But that's something that I don't recall seeing Dodson do. They won't ask him to do it that often, but it's I mean it was 3rd and 16, so you'd hope so. But
well, I think it was very much because they wanted to alleviate strong hook issues against the to the field against the 49ers, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's all this obsession with too high, but situationally, cover 3 is better than quarters for some stuff.
Right.
So.
All right, here I also like this Dodson play, but it brings up an issue with the Seahawks coverage that ended up getting exposed. It had actually been exposed before this play on that big Deebo Samuel catch, which is the thumbnail. I think it's telling to me that they didn't really address it, and I don't understand it, and I'd love to know what you think. So here's all the 49ers shifting. They did a lot of that. There's a bit of the chess match going on, and also what Griff spoke about a lot, but 7-step drop from under center, which gets everyone getting depth.
With no
this is
play action.
Really nice from Dodson here.
That is, yep. When I saw that live and I tweeted about it, I was like, "Oh, good Dodson spot drop."
Yeah.
That's a middle hook, right?
Yeah. So chat. What we think is going on here is rush, Sam, quarter flat, quarter, deep half, cloud, curl, middle hook. So essentially the middle hook isn't like Tampa 2 where I've drawn it, but it's more here relating to the final 3 receiver, and based on the flow and where the routes distribute, the final 3 is basically the threat. So the final 3 here is this guy, because we've got this, which will occupy this guy a bit more. We've got this breaking out here. If this quarter guy gets run off, the only guy who can make the play really is me underneath it. And if we're vicing it, we can do stuff like this. But anyway, I have to get underneath that. So this is really good. It shows what quarterback vision can do when you have peripheral awareness of your threat.
Yeah.
Like this guy's out, so my new threat is this guy, the inside threat to the hole, like this area. And as the quarterback starts looking here, this guy's passed to my inside, and I can feel him kind of going underneath me as the QB's looking there. So it's a really good job of taking that away. And in the end, what does Purdy do? He scrambles, which this is a good example of why the 49ers do this and what we've seen happen to Seattle in so many previous years playing zone coverage. Right. Your zone, if your pass rush doesn't get there, your zone gets drained out, everyone gets depth, and they do a great job. But if you're all getting depth like this and we don't have pass rush spacing integrity, the QB can run it up the middle for yardage. Before we look at the pass rush spacing, though, I do not understand what they're doing here. Well, I think I do, but I don't like it necessarily. So what they had happen was the corner would always squeeze the 1, right?
Yeah.
And this guy would get so much depth in the deep quarter. And what it meant is they were really susceptible to this area and this area from this guy, or as we saw on the Debo touchdown, and which we'll get to, this guy running like this.
Yeah.
They basically bracket the one and leave. I mean, look at this. It's a very interesting choice. I know Ayuk's a very talented player, but I wonder what your thought on that is, Griffin. There's other players where we can talk about it.
Yeah. Well, one thing they did well this game was they took away that deep dig. So like that dig route that breaks at 18.
Yeah.
And is caught at like 2022. And I think that's what they were alert for this game. So like you said, the corners squeezing and attaching, that's what they're like, literally just take all of one.
Yeah.
All the way to the post even.
Yeah.
Because if that route breaks inward, it's going to be in no man's land for the defense.
That was my thought too. Yeah. But Shanahan ultimately had way more answers than that. And it was kind of, okay, we've stopped one of your plays, but now, as often happens with Shanahan, especially if you overcompensate, then you get found out.
Yeah, and Shanahan is like he's so flexible. Like his answers aren't even necessarily like super genius. It's just his ability to turn on a dime and move to something else.
And that's why the 49ers should fire him.
Right. I think I wonder when Shanahan schemes, I wonder if he immediately thinks like, all right, this is how this is not like, this isn't going to work. This is how it's going to get covered up. So I better have this ready. I wonder.
Well, it's like series offense, right?
Well, yeah, but then it's like sometimes it takes some coordinators 2 weeks to figure out like, oh, how do I respond to my main thing not working?
Yeah.
Kyle's just so ahead of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, here they're running a tackle game. So bang, bang. Jaron Reed, unfortunately, I mean, he has a very tough job because he's double teamed. But he is the guy technically who would be responsible for getting in here. And the rush lane spacing would then be better. But it's hard to do that out of a bare front, which, I mean, Seattle would call that soak, where 5 tech, edge, head up nose. But it's, if you're rushing 4, someone has a crap job, basically. Here, 2 of them do. Anyhow. So they cover up the play really well on that one, but they still get done. Which, again, playing defense against this type of offense is really difficult. So let's look at another example of the 3 to a side stuff on the quarter side of the coverage. This is particularly annoying to me, and I tweeted out a video cut up of copycat NFL, because this has been on tape all season of how they've been playing it to some extent. So you just do a tape study and realize, oh, that will be there for us. So here Seattle's playing in nickel, big nickel, where Rayshon Jenkins is the nickel player. Now, this side, I think, is the cover 2 side, and this side is the cover 4 side. Here's our quarter flat defender. Clever from Kyle Shanahan, because here's the 3, here's the 2, here's the 1. Those are like the worst numbers I've ever seen. And he swaps the side that the 3's on very quickly. So here we go. Here they are. Look how much attention they're playing to the 1. Spoon squeezes it. Look how over the top Kayvon Wallace is as the deep quarter safety.
Yeah.
It's like playing a deep half almost.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it is. But then also, when we talk about communications and stuff, like Baker thinks he's playing a cover 2 curl. And he's not playing a quarter flat. Like, obviously Kayvon and Witherspoon are in quarters. Yeah,
this is I'd borderline call this a bust, right?
It is a bust, yeah.
Like, because what really should happen, guys, is if particularly with how these guys are playing this player is responsible essentially for 2 out and up. So he needs to be getting width and depth and basically playing at a 45-degree angle to stay over the top of this route and take the air out of it and squeeze it to the sideline.
Yeah.
But you can see just from the first steps of Baker that he is immediately back and trying to stay to the inside of this number 2, which is what he would do on the cover 2 side, which is actually over here.
Right. So I think that Baker didn't know what side the cloud was being set to.
The cover 2 side.
Yeah, the cover 2 side, and he just reversed it in his head.
Yeah.
Now,
and that's poor.
If this was cover 2, that would be a good curl drop.
Yeah, it'd be a good one, which is ironic given some of his curl drops a bit later.
Yeah.
And Raytron Jenkins is, but anyway. So that's just disappointing. You're just giving up a big chunk.
Yeah. I mean that's making it easy for Shanahan. So unfortunate.
And then here we have, and this is all after the Debo play. So like it should be very fresh in their mind what happens when you don't do this properly. Let's get the timestamp. So second and 10 this is. So you should be expecting pass. Look at the back split. So he's dressed up like a sweep. So this is a really good job from Dodson again of dropping back. He's thinking I need to push for the throwback to this hash. He's again the middle hook dropper, but he sees the QB looking here, so he gets more into this window here, right, Griff? I actually don't think Baker had a clue all game, because that drop there is more like a cover 4 side, but they're playing cover 2 over here.
Yeah.
Watch. What is that?
Yeah. And if where does the ball go again?
It goes down at the bottom of the screen where Trey Brown somehow managed to plead that wasn't DPI when it was.
So if that dig route, say that dig route nestles down and gets caught, Dodson would get dinged for it. He'd be graded negatively, but it would be on Baker.
By PFF, yeah.
Right. So just another illustration of like you got to know what the coverage is and what the players are being asked. And sometimes if there's busts and one guy's doing one thing, the other guy's doing the other thing, and you can't always necessarily know who is really responsible, then like that's the whole grading system is kind of like a flawed concept to begin with. But hey.
Yeah. Yeah, so guys, if Baker was knowing what side of the coverage he was on, he would pack this really tight and be right in this curl area here. Spoon would play deep to short here, and then if it got thrown to the flat, Spoon would come down outside in, Baker would come down inside out on the play. But you just see Baker's flat and wide as though he's responsible for this guy in the flat, and it's just not how it should be. Like, watch how the curl window here is wide open. Purdy, if he was feeling bolder, might throw that. I'm actually surprised he didn't. It probably weirded him out how that played out.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just being a Purdy apologist. And there's enough of them. But you'll get a nice view of this from the end zone as well. And it also speaks to me of change of strength motion. So why might Baker think that he's on the other side of the coverage? Well, the call might be to play the cover 2 side away, to the passing strength. So he might think now the passing strength's here because we've got a guy here, we've got a guy here, we've got a guy here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like an empty look, whereas we've got a guy here and a guy here. Like there's 3 on this side. So he might think it's flipped, but no one else seems to think that. So very unusual. Right, so let's get to the big Debo Samuel play. So a lot of people were saying in the comments on our video after the game, and this is all before all this has happened. So Shanahan came ready with a lot of ways of beating what Seattle was planning to do, their kind of core coverage, which is quarter half, or what Macdonald I think calls pack. A lot of people are saying this is man, and I see why people think that, because the techniques play out a bit like man-to-man. So, first of all, we can watch Trey Brown.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like it's strange. So I mean, it's got to be a bust because Love is playing a cover 2 technique.
Yeah.
And then you've got Jenkins playing a quarter technique. But then if cover 2, then if Love is playing cover 2, then you've got Mafe dropping to the flat. It's like a super buzz. Pete Carroll would call that.
And he'd have to carry the wheel, but I've never ever guys, I've never seen Seattle in base ask this guy to trips have to carry a wheel. Usually he's just tasked with like dropping to the quarter flat, or like here usually would like zone this because they're tight, and as we saw they can very quickly do this.
Right. So
and we play quarter here.
So does Love bust, and he's supposed to be a quarter, not a cover 2? I mean, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, none of it makes sense, the way that they play any of the techniques.
But then he's so tight to the hash here, I guess, with Purdy's eyes.
Do you think maybe he's actually a post safety? And this is a 1?
No, not to a. I mean, this is like technically a slot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like the way he opens, I mean, he bails like he's playing a cover 2 half.
I think also Trey Brown is seeing this, and he almost reads it like it's an RPO, not a quick play action.
But so, like, if Julian's correct and he's supposed to play a half, neither Mafe or Brown make any sense.
Well, I wondered if that could be part of it, but I also wondered if Love was playing with depth on this because they just want to guard the deep dig, and he's just playing like we just saw in the previous examples where he's just playing for depth on the deep dig, but he's still a quarter player.
Could be. It's a strange play.
Anyway, they've left space like this in behind this outside linebacker before. They also have had issues with stuff where it's a nub, so there's just a short side of the formation, a tight end, and then trip stuff here, because that requires particularly in a 3-4, it requires you to, how do I say this simply? It kind of requires certain checks to make sure you're not in a bad position, and for instance, you're not putting this guy in a crap spot. Like, and your coverage, the coverages you can play become a bit more limited, as in the breadth of them.
Right.
Anyhow, not great. So, but I wouldn't trade Brown here with the safety playing this deep if he has to squeeze this. It's what the 49ers hit so often. But that's what stood out to me so much, is they clearly anticipated how much Seattle would game plan for these routes and just access this part of the field.
Yeah. Well, and no one likes wheel routes, like wheel routes isolating a flat defender in particular than Kyle Shanahan.
No. That's Shanahan's MO. Putting the guy in conflict. It is a very effective play fake though, like such a kind of quick looker.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how Maffei almost caught Deebo Samuel. He's so fast. Like, what on earth?
Yeah, at full speed, full stride.
Well, there's that play where he almost ran down, or he did run down Bo Nix, and he looks pretty quick.
Yeah.
All right. So the other weird quarter, like 3 to a side on the quarter side of the coverage, Griff. This 1st and 15. This was like a killer. Oh, sorry, 2nd and 2. This was a killer drive from. That can't be a 2nd and 2. It's annoying how the play clock this year seems to be like busted. Anyway. Yeah, this looks more 1st and 15 just based on the contours and everything. So over here we have the cover 2.
Yep.
Curl, middle hook, quarter flat, quarter.
And guys, one of the ways to tell apart a cover 2 safety versus a quarter safety is that the cover 2 safety is going to be bailing at the snap and almost taking like a 45 diagonal angle to play the fade or go route of an outside receiver, number 1. Whereas the quarter guy is going to typically be somewhat flat-footed, and he's going to maintain inside leverage on one of the interior aligned receivers. So either the number 3 or the number 2. In this case, kind of the final 3, but like the number 2 pre-snap that Matty lines up. So that's one way you can tell the difference. And the principle of quarters is that you're trying to get double coverage on an interior receiver. And in cover 2, you're trying to get double coverage on an outside receiver.
So obviously there's like some play extension from Purdy here, and this is a pass rush rep from Seattle, which isn't their best, but they do affect the pocket.
I like this from Wallace too. It's good, even though it
the T-step to break on the dig.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those things where you talk about like talent, like juice and stuff. Like Wallace has the most explosiveness. Now that said, he's kind of wrong here anyway. But I mean, he sees Purdy move backside.
The pump and the Purdy in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. Like this is just a runoff route. It's not a real route from Kittle. But if it was anything, it would be a dig, right? Anything for real in structure.
Yeah. So obviously, 3 to a side, you only have in this coverage, right? Ignore these people. Okay, just imagine they're not there. And imagine he's not here. In this coverage, and imagine he's not here. In this coverage, you only have 3 people underneath on this part, right? So if we get motion from out here to this side, as we did with Juice Check, when someone goes flat like this area becomes a very weak spot of the coverage because this guy's playing deep, this guy's playing deep. And so a lot of teams, when it's quick at the snap, will push this guy outside and push here and then push here. So we're essentially replacing each other where we were. But Seattle chooses to pure basically spot drop. There's not much relating to receivers, right, Griff?
Yeah, it's mostly quarterback vision.
So what happens is they have 2 guys covering grass completely. And, I mean, look at this. And that's Kittle, so Spoon's not exactly going to be biting down here because Kittle can very well do that, as we've just been seeing.
Right.
So, not pushing with fast 3, that being this guy before the snap, very fast across the line and quick into the flat as the new 3 receiver, not pushing with that, is an interesting choice.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how the 49ers started. Well, I mean, that's a big play. Like, they backed up. Seattle had been starting to get the things together on offense, and then hitting that, just a sucker of a play.
Yeah, I wonder about Baker, man. I wonder if they do want him to kind of get eyes on one of those routes, on one of the wheel routes, the flat threats. But again, it could have just been like a pack the middle mentality.
Does he think he's a curl again?
Dude, I wonder. I wonder.
He just doesn't know. Because, yeah, anyway.
Like, all right, so this was a weird play. Like, what is Dodson doing, man?
Well, he just gets looked hard with the pump, and he thinks this. And Jenkins plays like he's playing so wide for the running back wheel, but like all your help's outside.
Right. You can leverage that with your cloud corner,
which
the cloud flat at the top.
Is a very timely point because oh no, I don't have it. Hold on. Well, this is a good example. So earlier in the game, we're learning a lot about a core coverage from Macdonald. So this is a first and 10. Again, a similar type play where Purdy stays alive. I felt the pass rush is better on this play. So here's the 3 receiving threats.
We got a
this
nice
looks like straight cover 2.
It's Tampa 2 all the way, yeah.
Tampa 2. Great drop here from, well, you can speak it through, Griff.
Well, Dodson's just carrying it out. He's I like that he doesn't overplay the threat of the vertical.
Right, there's like a little pause.
Right. By doing so, that means he can defend better the possibility of a shorter route that breaks inward or outward from Kittle.
Right. So we have here curl, run down that middle, deep half, cloud in the flat. So get hands on this guy, deny the outside release, hinge to go deep to short. Now, Jenkins is the issue here. It's difficult, but I do wonder about coaching. He's very wide.
And especially with the tight split. Like,
right.
And he doesn't ever peak. I mean, that's something we see Devin do.
There's no eyes. He never, ever looks here or scans here. His eyes are purely on the quarterback looking away. But quarterback looking away, he should be tightening up again.
Right. He should be.
Which he kind of does, but not really. And then he ends up in basically Trey Brown's zone. And when you're in Tampa 2, the real big area of the field, as we've seen or heard Bo Pelini always talk about, is this part, and as the curl never expand too quickly. All your help is this guy outside and this guy deep, but there is no help here, so you have to stay tight in your curl and make sure you know where the threat is, the inside threat.
And so when they had the good games, the first 3 games, they were used to the pass rush forcing the ball out and then just getting to fly at what's in front of them.
Yeah, foot in the ground, I've got to my drop. Bo Nix has already turned his shoulder and pointed here. Bang, I get to go hit someone.
Right. So this is what happens when you play a real quarterback. As much as I dog Brock Purdy, I mean, he's still firmly above average. So this is what, and he's decent creator. So this is what above average quarterback play can do if you're not on your P's and Q's.
And at a certain point, I would have thought you would plaster that guy, like find the threat. Like, why are we jumping in the flat? That's not your job. It's just trying to do too much, basically.
I don't.
Slash trying to make a big hit. So it's a good play from Purdy. The pass rush does an okay job at moving him off his spot and affecting him. But it's one of those where the only place this ball should go is the flat / out of bounds. They had the coverage in for it. The pass rush was like going to get Purdy if they'd been able to cover for a bit longer. It's not like he'd broken contain necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, Jones is right there. So that's a bit of a disappointing one. And then Jenkins later in the game, very shortly after that, that play we just looked at where they didn't push with the fast 3. This is a
rough one.
Yeah, this is a rough one, and it's like the finer details of zone coverage.
So this is like theoretically anyone can get better at this stuff in theory because it doesn't require a lot of athleticism. But like at the end of the day, some guys are good at this, and some guys aren't.
Yeah, exactly. So motion back. So right now, Seattle is playing cover 2 here and quarters here. Baker is that quarter flat player we've spoke about, where I don't know exactly their rules for trips bunch, but essentially he is out and up of someone, but to trips bunch, he might just be the first in out of the bunch. Depends how matchy they get with it. This is a middle hook player relating to the final 3. And Jenkins is still the curl defender who is responsible for being basically inside of the number 2, which is the back, obviously, but his help's out here and his help's here, but there is no help here, especially with trips away, because this guy's going to open to that side. Some teams can play it like man-to-man, where it's just essentially quarters, but this is cover 2, where because we're getting a reroute on the 1, I need to play more zone-like because we're focused on denying him outside. If he breaks inside to the hole where we're looking away on this side to this 3 receiving threats, there's no one else but me, so I have to play pure zone. So I'm not sure really what Jenkins is doing here. I don't know if he reads Purdy setting up quickly and thinks it's quick game, but he just drifts too far, right?
Yeah, you got to protect the hash. Narrow splits. It's a wrap concept, so kind of with the running backs, like a little dig over a curl route, or a hitch dig, whatever you want to call it. So he gets too wide initially, I think, and then
his first step is like he's worried about this guy running this, but that would be this guy's. And if he's running this, well, then let him run at you, and your help's here, but you have no help here.
So when the running back sits down, he sits down, and a good zone dropper here sees the running back sit down. They keep going because they understand what concept is being ran. They understand that they're being conflicted, they're being attacked.
Yeah, and routes like this very, very rarely get thrown quick.
Right, that's a good point.
It's usually the second throw or third throw.
So, yeah, it's just and then also because you've got Dodson gets pulled a little bit to the boundary with the fast 3.
Yeah,
his initial drop is nice, but he's kind of protecting a potential backside dig here from the strong side, the boundary side. But yeah, you don't have a hash player. Essentially, that's what you need. You got to pack the middle, and Jenkins is giving Purdy the exact look that he wants.
Yeah.
So when when I post certain linebackers doing stuff like this really well, it's like, well, that's what happens when they don't do it well.
Yeah,
And
it looks
this
so
play,
simple when those guys do it, but it's really not. Like, it's
yeah,
very, very difficult because there's so
yeah,
many intricacies. Like, even the pre-snap recognition of this is a tighter split, meaning that guy can access the weak part of the coverage that I'm responsible for keeping to the inside of and preventing from getting there quicker. If he's out here, a normal split, it's going to take him longer. So my drop can be a bit wider and a bit more lazy almost. But if he's here, it's a very imperative that I'm getting depth here on that hash because he can get in the hash quick. And really, also, I don't know what you think about this, Griffin. I mean, we've seen some very good Seattle players who very rarely looked at receivers. They were very good at zone dropping with just QB vision, so it is possible. But what surprises me here is, one, the alignment depth is really close to the line. If you look at Dodson and Baker, he's super close to the line. I know he's in the B gap bubble, but he's given himself less time, by like a yard. And then two, his eyes never ever are aware of this threat. As soon as this back takes this step, I would be thinking backwards. It's very simple because obviously I've played in the NFL, but no. But you'd be thinking backwards, scan, what's this guy doing? Eyes back to the QB.
I mean, yeah, you'd think depth then width, not width and then depth.
And with the depth, you should corner of your eye see that route coming inside.
All right. I mean, like my thing is, I'd rather be wrong and give up a 5-yard hitch, maybe 2 yards after the catch, than be wrong about a 12-yard dig and 5 yards after the catch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Like how much did this go for at the end of the day?
Big.
Like 22?
Yeah. And Purdy does look flat, actually. You can see here. He throws this kind of blind, which is kind of nasty. It's like a no-look.
Yeah. One trick pony, though. That's his one trick. I gotta stop hating on Purdy. He's an above average quarterback.
Should Dodson be melting quicker here with him looking like this?
Maybe, but then at the same time,
no.
if he does, then that could open up the backside dig, right?
Yeah.
So that's often definitely what happens. Not. I mean, maybe he could a smidge. I mean, as a middle hook though, with 3 to the boundary, like should you be a yard outside the hash? I feel like you should be on the hash.
I feel that play where they threw it to the dead flat part from the 2 plays before on this drive is in his mind.
Yeah, it could be. If he is like on the hash or just hugging outside the hash, like one body length outside it,
right?
And if Jenkins plays outside the hash, like just hugs the hash himself, they can both collectively squeeze it. But like that's how, like right there, you lost, right? If they each had 1 yard inward,
right?
Then who knows? That could be a tip ball.
Yeah, for me, Jenkins' first step here is what loses him it because it's so flat and wide, as though he is responsible for carrying this guy on the wheel route in man-to-man when he's not.
Right. So
it's like he's playing man coverage, inside eye on the back. There's no need for that. He should straighten up.
They are 30th in pass EPA on passes in between the numbers at depths of like 8 to 23 yards. However you want to shrink it to 10 to 20, same thing. They're 30th, and it's just bad spot dropping. It's bad.
Yeah, this is what that looks like.
Yeah,
that's how you become that bad at it. And so some of that's coaching as well. Like we've seen Seattle coach up in previous years, coach up better spot dropping, but I think a lot of it is a skill that some guys have, some guys don't have, and people value different things. Right. What do you want to look at now, Griff? Because that's the intermediate zone stuff addressed.
Should we look at some of the explosive runs, like three or
Yeah,
so,
sure,
maybe
sure,
more?
that's good. And then maybe we can finish on like 2 good ones, just as an example.
There we go.
Um, so let's finish with let's start with a run which basically finished the Seahawks, which was a run everyone in the building knew was coming and cost me a lot of money.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
Oh no. So this doesn't make any look. You can see
So
they're communicating. Like, so basically, Love saying I'm coming down now to Jenkins. So they were playing strong buzz here. Now Love saying I'm going to come down here. Baker's
right.
got his eye around, paying attention.
Oh.
Dodson is just like, yeah, I'm going to fit the fucking run.
All right, so like before the plays, they lost before the plays even snapped because
Okay.
so the dude, this is so fucked up. Like, why is Love stacking Derek Hall? He knows he's in the fit. If Love knows he's in the fit, what gap does he think he has here? Because they're gapped out. That means every player has one gap. You're not two gapping. You're not like playing A to C. You're either an A gap player or a B gap player or a C gap player or a D gap player. Like, well, what does Love think he is in this picture? What does Dodson think he is here? Because if Hankins is playing a true two gapping nose where he has to be responsible for both A's, that means Dodson would fit off of him. So he plays the A gap that Hankins doesn't fall into. But in my mind, Hankins is like not super great laterally, especially against stretch. So he's likely not going to be able to get front side in the A gap.
Which we saw in this game previously, like Hankins was actually ending up in this A gap.
Right. So like I don't know if he's playing a push technique where you play the front side A or a lag technique where you fall into the back side A, or if it's just true two gap. But even so, like Dawson's alignment doesn't allow any margin of error for Hankins. If Hankins does get reached, which he does this play, you're screwed. It's like if one guy's wrong, it's a house call. And people got upset at Baker here for like not falling into the A gap, but he's the B gap player. If the guard goes and combos the 3 technique, Baker has to get front side leverage on him to relieve the combo. If Baker falls into the A gap, then the guard just flips his hips and then pins Baker. Then the ball bangs up the B gap and runs for a first down or not more also. So like Baker's fine here.
Right. It's little things like this, guys, which makes me think that the defense will improve in the sense that I don't know how they've diverted or distributed their resources, like coaching wise, and their focus. Like how much has been spent on third downs, how much has been spent on the skies, but a lot of the time when teams like motion like this, so they did have this guy over here, so it was basically a 2 tight end, 12 personnel pair trips look. That's wordy because that's a weird ass, stupid, annoying formation where we're going to play strong buzz to it to alleviate problems, and then we're here and we're or no, we'd be. I don't even know. This is the problem.
Baker's B gap.
And then I don't know what Dodson's doing from the
well, it's his. So they don't understand how Love rotating down changes their role in the defense.
Right.
So like this is all procedural. Like forget about execution. It doesn't matter here. Like this is nothing to do with execution. They're losing on the whiteboard. Like, yeah. So who's the front side A gap players is what this is about. It's not Baker. Baker's leveraging the gap in between the guard and the tackle. That's Baker. Baker does his job. It doesn't seem that way, but that's only because of how bad whatever's going on in the A gap is. So either based on if Dodson's correct, then Hankins, if Dodson's alignment is correct in terms of he's aligned where they want him to be, then Hankins just gets reached, and then it's an execution problem of your nose tackle. But
well, and it's also a deployment problem of why are we playing Jonathan Hankins in a zero technique and not shading him to the actual tight end and just playing him like this.
Right. But even so, like there's no margin for error. Like that B gap should like Dodson is aligned where Love should be aligned. Like Dodson should be in a 0 or a 10, stacking either the guard or the nose tackle.
And again, alignments like this come off to me like we're trying to play. It's great if they run field bootleg because we're already got the leverage advantage as the hook here, or it comes off to me like the way they're trying to disguise it almost. I guess they didn't disguise it, but it's like, hey, we're trying to get them to run it this direction to an unblocked safety because they've thought the safety was coming down this side. There's like a time and a place for all of that, and this just isn't it.
Yeah. No, you're right. You want to stay leveraged to the field for the boot game, but then play Hankins in a 1 to the boundary then or something. So I mean you can still I would put Dodson in a 30, right? Not a 40 or whatever he's in.
Yeah. It comes off like the linebackers are divorced from the safeties when it comes to fitting the run. When if you're in an 8-man front, you should all be leveraging the football together with the safety very much involved in the run fit.
So
against that formation.
So with this being procedural thing, the cope here, as much as we just kind of ranted, the cope here is like, well, simply get lined up right. And you can eliminate 76 yards from their rushing total, And like there was maybe 2 or 3 of that. Like even in the past game when Baker didn't know if he was a cover 2 curl or a quarter flat, like clean that shit up. Because that's stuff that takes no talent. That's just communication with your players. Like, it doesn't matter who your players are. If they're communicating incorrectly, forget about it. You're nullifying whatever talent advantage or even talent neutrality you have. Right. You don't even know what you're supposed to do. Right. So, like how many yards did what percentage of the 49ers yards was from Seattle just not knowing what end was up? What, maybe 20% of it? 25? That's a lot, right? So, so like start with that. Like that's what Macdonald in his pressers, he was kind of chill. He was chilling, I think that's because he knows. He's like, well, we just need to get our shit together in some areas, and like then we can regroup and really find out who we are. Yeah, like I appreciated that. Like that was part of why I'm kind of optimistic about the pictures because I think, So
no, but at the same time, what is troubling to me is, as Macdonald said on the radio, I think some of the things we got away with the first 3 games have gotten us the last 3 games. It's been 6 games and those things haven't been corrected. That's not just for the defense. That's obviously for the offense, the special teams. But if they're not fixed now, how much of that is maybe coaches in certain position groups who aren't good enough? How much of that is maybe players who just aren't good enough? How much of that is Macdonald needing to better adapt to his players in his calls? I think probably a combination of all of those things, but I would like it to be fixed, and I'm not sure,
Yeah,
it's
like
very
I
simple
don't
looking
know.
at it now, but there's an allocation of resources, and then I get scared because in season teams will see this and copycat and be like, oh, they can't do this very well, and then they'll dial into the tendencies, and then basically you're always behind as a bad defense, and you're struggling, and there's a snowballing effect, and you just can't get out of your hole.
Yeah, I am a little disheartened by like the underneath zone play of the safeties of both Love and Jenkins. Like that's supposed to be your answer to some of this stuff, And if they can't provide some of it, then like that's frustrating. Now I thought Love was good playing a hook zone in the Miami game when they rotated him down, play like cover 3 Buzz to the field, cover 3 Robert, whatever. But not this game so much. Some of his hook drops were a little suspect. So Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
So this is some of the theory of what they're going for. So this is obviously a big nickel look, where they're trying to show two high safeties, but they're obviously playing cover three buzz again. And the idea is that you get the 49ers going, yeah, we're good. We're going to run into the B-gap bubble. And they leave the safety filling the B-gap bubble primarily unblocked. And you basically get free hitter to the point of attack. The cutback's not there because there's the two linebackers on that side. That's the basic premise. And you have two guys to the bubble. They basically fit a lot of the runs like a 4-4.
Yeah. And you can see how it gapped out 2i, how devastating that can be for the offense.
Yeah. And I mean, look at Hankins here. This is a
So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to reach. I mean, because if you want to, you can't flow. So Jenkins is free from the guard climb.
yeah.
And then if you stay on him, then or if you do flow, then he's got, it's impossible for the center to make the block.
Right.
So then Dodson, because of that, then Dodson takes the double off of Hankins, and Hankins is able to detach.
Yep.
So like a 2i is always really important against Shanahan offense. If you're not going to use a 2i and you want to play a 5-man front, play bear, then you got to use a lag technique for your nose tackle. But then you have to align at the second level to accommodate the lag. So that's why, though. So Matty, kind of back to the boot concern. Murphy could play a push nose, which allows the linebacker to chill and play the backside A and not have to over pursue anything. And that's where I get excited about Murphy. And even Reed can play a push nose. Hopefully Hankins is a solid player, but you want him playing 15, 20 snaps. You can intermix him with Reed and Murphy at nose, then like you're really flexible as far as what you can do against under center.
Yep. That you'd think is their vision, right? But it's interesting how Cam Young's returned, and I don't know if they're trying to get him into the two gapping. It seemed like they were doing that this game because he's big, but that he was obviously quite unfamiliar with that in college. He just moved loads, and I just think of what Michael Pierce did for that Ravens.
I mean, Hurt didn't ask Cam to mirror step or two gap, right? It was almost all one gap,
right?
Power step,
which is what looked like it would translate.
And so, like right here, like this is not the linebackers getting themselves blocked. Well, Baker does, but like Dodson's got the correct leverage. Even Love, who gets on the ground, I mean, he's just leveraging the block that he's supposed to. It's about horizontal spacing. It's not about, what does it look like, as far as the physicality of it.
And this is why you play that 2i, right?
Yeah, right. Like Dodson does his job. He's got to keep front side leverage on the guard, but Young gets reached, and Baker also gets reached essentially by the climbing backside guard, the 49er right guard. Like this is not good from Baker. Baker needs to stay front side on him. And if like
it's over now,
you're done right now. Both of them on the backside, they get walled off, and the cutback lane is just right down the middle. Right down the pipe. So you have to think about, you got to do something, I don't know, something with the second level alignments to accommodate poor nose play, but I don't know. It's honestly Baker's even worse than Young here, but because if Baker's able to get over the guard, then Young then would be able to work down the line and at least get a body on him,
Right.
So it's like one high gap fits if everyone just play your gap. Don't even worry about the ball. Just play the gap and the ball comes to you.
There was an element of this is the thing with this game. There's like an element of them doing that, particularly like with the two linebackers being in the middle, so them having an A and a B, and then flanked either side by a guy in like a 44 look. But it's just the inconsistency.
Mm-hmm.
So like here, Griff, you mentioned you got to do something with the alignments, or like do something maybe with the front. Like a common answer for the problems they have is send this guy off the weak edge, slant this guy, slant here, and we basically create a 5-man bear front.
Mm-hmm.
And for the backers, rather than playing B gap, it's A gap to full back, C gap to full back.
That also helps you because your run fit now is to the field. That helps you push to the field, and your zone drop should it be a pass too.
Right.
So those line slants to the boundary is like a very all-purpose tool, run and pass, something we saw a lot of in 2021, and why the Seahawks were really good defending the run from too high and stopping play action and stopping deep passes. But right now, they're like the inverse of that.
Yeah, because if I'm Dodson here and I know we've got a slant on here, I know I can, rather than firing downhill, I can hold my depth and just step and then go, or step and then plant my foot back. But I've held my depth, which gives me more time and leverage for the boot to the field. So you see Dodson's very lateral to start with. But this is really badly coached, this play. Like it's just an abysmal. I don't know how this happens. I'd be interested, Griffin, what you think of this one.
So they're one high again. I think Dodson works okay. So it's Hankins again, right? Yeah. I mean, Hankins gets
kicked out there.
Yeah. It's just straight up nose tackle getting beat.
Chipped out.
So like Reed is the front side B, Dodson's the front side A, Hankins is the backside A, but he is straight reached. So now you're out gapped. I think, does Jones get reached, or is he? Yeah, Jones gets reached.
Jones gets reached because he should be coming in here, right? And maybe folding here.
So now Artie's wasted. So because Hankins and Jones get reached, Artie Burns is now wasted. And you're out-gapped front side. When you get reached in one high defense, you get out-gapped.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that happens.
Now, here's an example, though. Like, if you think Dodson should have worked back just because, the reason why he shouldn't is because if you start to do that, or maybe if he works back too early, like maybe at the very end he could have. But if he works back too early because he sees the D-line screwing up, if he does that, then the ball spits back out front side. And that's the type of thing we saw like in the Steelers game where guys were like trying to correct the guys in front of them.
Trying to do this, and then it would just go here and go for a touchdown.
It's like it wasn't an effort thing. They were almost trying too hard in the wrong ways. I actually appreciate that Dodson stays front side because it's just like better for the long term.
Right. Now, one question I have, Griff. What is Julian Love here? So we're blitzing here.
I mean, it's a really good play for him to bring the ball down, but he's one of the backside.
Deep third, and the offense has tight end.
I mean, he's the backside B, right?
He's not, yeah, but he didn't play like that.
I mean, that's the problem. I mean, it's a good job to,
It's very good open field tracking. His open field angles and just have
been really
tackling have been really good. Yeah,
like all year long. Like even when he's like Love had like a rough game this game, like his first real bad game. But even like the open field tackling from Love was good, and the tracking. But yeah, this is the problem. Like if you wanted a little more help from him, from your backside B gap players, say it's the difficulty rotating from depth, how that can get you sometimes.
Yeah.
But like the intent is that he's your field hash player, right? If it's coverage,
Yeah.
but it's not coverage, it's run.
No.
So like here, this isn't an alignment issue as much. This one's an execution issue. And like this play, if you want to cope through it, you just have to think, well, get your other nose tackle back, and so that you get better nose play and you get better play out of Hankins via him playing fewer snaps.
Yeah.
So,
or this play here, which is the exact same concept, but just look at the differences in how they execute. Here we go. Now, this is actually the false start play, but everyone was playing like that it was real. This time the nose is Leonard Williams, who had an absolutely astonishing game.
yeah. I love seeing Leo at nose on occasion. I just love seeing like a 6'5", lean body type playing nose tackle.
Athlete. So Hall doesn't quite get in the B, but
yeah, you're a little shaky backside. But
you are. Draymond has a great rep.
Yeah, it's a good rep from Draymond. I mean, he'll have a couple of those, right?
Right. Anyway. Right. Any other run fit clips you want to look at, Griff? Like negatives?
There were a couple too high that kind of squirted up the middle on them, like those 6-yarders and 5-yarders.
Right. I thought the too high fits were like okay.
It wasn't it wasn't a crisis. It wasn't good, but it wasn't a crisis.
I think a fair bit of that was like because the 49ers, how they play their offense with the fullback and stuff. I mean, they're basically just playing over 2, right? Or over 4, where you just got like people doing this. This is what happens, guys, when you actually spill the fullback.
Yeah.
Dodson's the spill, so
Dodson's like a 2-for-1 player here. It's a good rep from him.
And they started early with Trey Brown playing this cloud and almost like the cloud force, which was effective. It's actually almost like an under. But it's a very good rep from Dodson.
And that you can see how that lets Baker kind of overlap too, although he does a good job beating the center.
It's crazy to me that Baker was higher graded than Dodson in this game.
Yeah. I mean, Dodson did have some bad, he got looked off in coverage, and I think he actually got caught by the grading system a little bit. But I mean, it was not like a disaster Dodson game. But I have no idea how the fucking coverage grades work anyway. So.
And then they started playing it like cover 4, which cover 4 like this is always so tough. But it kind of worked. But your edge is so soft. Anyway, let's focus on like a hype play. So one thing that Macdonald did in Baltimore is when they're having issues fitting the run, playing like a bigger end type. So they've obviously got Draymond Jones, but Leonard Williams also did some crazy cool stuff. So, and he is kind of if we need a play, let's have stuff happen. So Seattle here should be in the absolute crap because there's a slot formation. This is like a fake tight end. But they're straight up playing 6 men in the box here. If you watch Jenkins' first eyes, they're for this receiver. They're telling these guys, you have the 2 gap. And good luck. So you can see how Rayshon Jenkins' first Well, he's holding, I guess, actually. But he's never getting in that B gap. He's so slow. I don't actually know what he's doing.
Well, do you think he's actually in the fit?
Well, no, yeah, they're playing like he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing like it's
Like they're still ball fitting here.
C to A to B.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't matter what you're doing at the second level because you have a guy at edge who is just.
And Matty, you tweeted, could he be the Carl Urban? Or not Carl Urban. God damn it. The Brent Urban.
Right.
He brings news from the Rittermark. Leo is such a cool player, man.
Yeah, I mean that is good on good as well. Trent Williams.
Yeah, dude. So he snatches Trent Williams.
What's cool for him as well is he never gets to usually play in this amount of space because he's a wide 9 and the tight end leaves him. He gets a real run up into that.
Yep. Pretty neat.
And like just for the purposes of this, imagine we block out here. We climb up here. We're already coming here. Like this is a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like there's just not enough people.
Yeah. So who does the tight end cut off? Do they cut off Baker?
I think
Dodson?
so.
Yeah. Oh man. That's bad at the second level, yeah.
Yeah, like it's going here, right?
Reed might be able to be a hero there, but
yeah, Reed has a good rep as well. To be fair, after getting kind of reached.
Well, wait, what is he? Is he a
heavy 3?
Yeah.
He had a bad rib in this game, 50-11. Is that true? That's crazy.
I think he was still on the injury report for it.
It's crazy. Now, the play before this, I know Draymond Jones has been getting some criticism, but the play before this is all Draymond Jones. This is the type of play you can make to the bubble when they run a weak wide zone. I mean, to be fair, that's a play that he should make, having watched it from that angle, but... It's good hand placement.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's helping out that B gap bubble, right? So
yeah.
Anytime your edge can do that for you,
it's big.
Yeah.
And then let's go to. This is why Leonard Williams as an edge isn't something you want to do all the time. Because he's just less familiar pass rushing there, and obviously you like him as a pass rusher. But it's a fun feature. It's definitely something Macdonald I felt actually was missing. And in terms, you talk about scheme review.
Mm-hmm.
I know they were a bit light on the interior of the D lines. That might have been part of it, but like against the Broncos, it was very effective. That's something that when they're at the best, they need to be using. All right. Let's finally... Griff, do you have anything else you want to look at?
No.
Let's look at 2 Macdonald third downs.
Oh, yeah.
So this is 3rd and 4.
Yeah.
That's a clear passing down in the NFL. And Macdonald's been doing this all year, but like again, against the 49ers, good quality of opponent. Against Kyle Shanahan, great play caller. This is where he's like in his wheelhouse. This is what he's great at. So we have... all of these guys walked up, and then a cover 0 look across the board. And personnel-wise, Leonard Williams, Jaron Reed, I think that's Boye Mafe, Jerome Baker, Tyrel Dodson, Derek Hall, Rayshon Jenkins. So safety, linebacker. You get the idea. Lots of different personnel, lots for the protection to sort out. And also, if you're actually going to bring cover zero, you've got the extra guy to the running back side, meaning there's no way for them to pick it up if you bring all of them. Or release the back. So ordinarily, if you imagine all of these guys do not exist, the way to beat cover zero would just be this route here. We're playing so far off. Bang here, and we're running, and it's probably a touchdown. But what's really cool about Macdonald is he will pop out guys into coverage. Now, they just have a very basic landmark. I believe one is like over where a tight end would be, and one is like on the hash. But essentially, they just remove that quick throw.
Mm-hmm.
It just pauses the quarterback long enough for the pressure to get there, as you'll see.
And so it's 6-man protection, and you're able to beat its bod protection, right? Big on big, back on backer. And so because they're willing to drop out those underneath linemen, you kind of take away the hot throw, allowing the free rusher Jenkins to get there. So that's the beauty of dropping the big guys, because you make them think you're blitzing.
Yeah. So
because Leo drops too, right?
Yeah.
So it's a fire zone here.
Well, it's just cover zero with pop outs.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got we've wasted this guy, and we've wasted this guy.
So
we've gained this guy, and we've gained this guy, and we've got a guy unblocked off the edge still.
Yeah. So it's a cool way to beat the protection.
While removing the quick throw, which is part of the protection.
Yeah. So good. And that's also something that Purdy in particular struggles with. So if you can stuff the run on early downs against the 49ers, you can tap into the Purdy breaking stuff, which is well, now that said, Macdonald didn't stuff the run against the 49ers either last year, but he was still able to break Purdy. And I think that's just because, I don't know, he just felt like he could.
Well, Shanahan had a really good plan for like the summer McDonald stuff, like the double corner stuff, just releasing the running back up the middle and checking it down to him, and then the 7-step under center stuff to again hit like the running back check down and drain out your zone, like not have too much disguise.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a big McDonald thing that happens a lot, and he did with the Ravens to success. And then the other thing is, I mean, if you want to talk crazy, this is like pure like wink. This is nuts. So guys, what coverage do we think we're getting here? Well, it looks like, oh shit, it looks like cover zero, right? We're bringing this guy, 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 man to man, man to man, man to man, man. Right? Looks like that. Maybe we'll pop out again like we did last time. This is like the layers of the pressures and how McDonald schemes it. So he's already thrown that type of cover zero. Look at Purdy. On this play, this is a crazy rotation. If you watch Jenkins to start with. So it's actually playing cover 3, fire zone, where this is our 3 receiver player, this is our deep third, this is our 2 receiver player. I don't know who the 2 receiver player is on this side. Did they bring 6? Hold on. Oh no, it's Maffei, yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
And it gets a guy completely unblocked into Purdy's path, because protection-wise, they've actually showed it slightly different. It's rather than showing an overload front, it's double A gap. This very often guarantees big on big protection, where the back will have one of these backers, or this guy usually scanning, right? And then we block out right. I think that's what they end up doing.
Yeah.
But you see how they've wasted a guy out here for Maffei. The back is lost on in the middle here, and they actually bring Kobe Bryant on the blitz.
Yeah.
They actually, I think they slide the center here, and then, right?
I mean, I think isn't that just what he would need? Isn't that where his
yeah,
eyes would go
yeah,
first
right.
anyway? He has to make sure
Yeah, I
17
think
drops.
You're right. So Macdonald still has it very much so in these passing downs, and it's just about getting into more of them for Seattle.
Right.
And I imagine they'll have spent a fair bit of attention on this type of stuff. So allocation of coaching resources wise, perhaps the stuff that they're bad at, they can improve at with a bit more attention on them. Not that they haven't been spending attention on that. Griff, do you have anything else you want to look at?
No, I think we covered it.
That was quite comprehensive. There's more run fit stuff, obviously. I think we've done a pretty good job. Let's go through the listener questions. Just make sure.
I think we've done a great job.
It's all Griff. With as bad as the linebacker play has been, which Macdonald acknowledged after the New York Giants game, he said second level play, Hawks fan Mattman. So I'd also point out that I feel Rayshon Jenkins has had a disappointing few games. And I don't know if the rest of the safeties can really play second level stuff. There's a couple of examples in this which we obviously didn't get to, but just not looking quite right. But Griff, could a trade this season make a big difference, a la Roquan Smith?
Absolutely think it could. Absolutely think it could.
Like who?
We're. I mean, the fun one, the ideal one that is realistic. And realistic, I'm stretching that definition, but like top of my list would be like Quincy Williams, followed by Logan Wilson, followed by Devin Lloyd.
Have you watched more, like, this isn't being a dick. Have you watched more Logan Wilson than the one time we watched him? No.
I've paid attention to him on the broadcast.
Okay.
I mean, he's got it. The Bengals have good over the middle zone coverage stats, and they play a lot of cover 3. So like it's just the hook players banging it out, playing inside out, and not letting stuff get there.
I love it when hook players bang it out.
Don't you love it, Matty?
Yeah, that's why I watch.
All right. So, are you gonna watch Children of Men?
Hold on. Fats, thank you so much for the donation.
Thank you, McClure.
You've been very generous recently.
You have been. If you're gonna treat yourself though, Fats, come on.
Yeah.
You matter too.
Yeah, you're not thin. Right. The rest of them are offense stuff. Obviously, we'll deal with the offense on Thursday. Griff, I may have watched Children of Men by then. I may not have.
I should hope so.
Please do follow Griff on Twitter at CMikeSpinMove. Follow me at Matty F Brown. Comment on the pod, like it. You know, if this tape format's working. Obviously, they're very long, and we have 72 people still in here, which is fantastic. So thank you so much. But yeah, any suggestions we're open to. Doesn't mean we'll do them. But notice there was no typing from Griff this episode. So maybe you do have some sway. And yeah, follow the pod at Seattle Overload. Like the video, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend, post it on Reddit. I think everyone's calmed down now, so it might be okay. But Griff?
What?
Closing wisdom?
How about you close out of this tab and go open a Children of Men tab?
Uh-huh.